But, I'm curious about something because, like, I saw a video that you did about midterm rentals, and it's something you're really excited about right now. And I want to get into that a little bit because they're not B&Bs. They're not necessarily someone that's coming in for a week or two, but you can get higher rents on midterm rentals, if I'm not mistaken. And there's just some differences about that type of rental. So give us a little background on that and why you're excited about that.
Yeah, I think midterm rentals are the next big thing. I think, I'm not like in the big prediction business. I'm more in like the prepare for what's going to happen business and react quickly business, but kind of a prediction that I don't usually do a ton. I think midterm rentals are going to be huge. I think this is like short-term rentals, Airbnbs. This is like short-term rentals in 2005. These midterm rentals, there is a ginormous demand for 30-day to 60 to 90-day rentals via traveling nurses, via corporate leases, via digital nomads. People are traveling, especially younger people are traveling all the time. They have a job, they can work remote. They just want to live in different cities for, throughout the year. So there's a huge demand. And I just did some research about this because I'm going to be putting out a lot of things about this here in the near future. There is about 1.8 million traveling nurses in the country right now. And there's not exact data, but there's several 100,000 throughout the country, other types of, digital nomads or corporate leases or insurance displacement. My brother-in-law's house got hit by a tornado and he was displaced for 6 months at a time until his house got redone. So those type of needs are out there, but there's 200,000 midterm rentals in the country right now. And there's over 2 million people that need midterm rentals right now. So the simplistic supply demand ratio is very far off right now. And it's the best of both worlds. So on short-term rentals, you get people in and out, on a weekly basis, a weekend basis. They're overbooking it. They're kind of partying. They have family there. They tell you they're bringing 8, they're bringing 12, all this kind of stuff. They live in it hard because they're there for a short period of time. And long-term rentals, which I'm still a big fan of, they're great. People live there for an entire year. So every time they move out, there's just so much stuff to fix and you can't get as much rent on a long-term basis. So this midterm rentals is right in the middle. It's 30 to 60 to 90-day leases that these traveling nurses need, other people need. And if you're able to provide a really good house, you're able to get way more rent because you're breaking out, because you're willing to do something that long-term tenant and aren't willing to do, is you're willing to give them a 30, 60, 90-day lease, you furnish it, and you're able to really, really cash flow, because I personally don't think prices are substantially going down anytime soon. And then I don't think interest rates are substantially going down anytime soon either. So I think the new norm is high prices, high interest rates, and most people aren't able to cash flow on a long-term rental basis. The numbers just aren't chalking up because the cost of money is so high right now, that this is that solution for that. This is the solution to where you're able to, I just did a example, $85 a cash flow on a rental property that I bought. I turned into a midterm rental. The cash flows net $750 a month because of the tenant base that you're bringing there. So there's a ton of other things I really like about midterm rentals. The tenant base, they stay there, they take care of it, they're working, they're sleeping, working, sleeping, little low maintenance, not like the short-term rentals. So anyways, it just kind of fits that middle ground. That's a unique thing with people traveling and technology these days. I think it's going to actually grow.
Okay.
Sam, in that space, I have another question, and just from a clarity standpoint, it seems to me like that's the type of space where, from a payment guarantee standpoint, not only will you make a little more, but it seems that there will be corporate dollars paying those bills rather than personal income dollars paying those bills of the tenants as often as not, and that cash flow might not only be higher but more reliable.
100%. And a lot of that comes from like traveling nurses is the biggest part of the midterm rental space right now. And I think in the future, they get stipends from from whatever, hospital that they are getting, that they have a contract with. And there's like websites that track all this and connect you with these people. And so you're right. They get stipends from the hospitals to spend on housing. So they're willing to spend a little bit more, and they're moving out, you get 3 or 4 moves out in a year, which is not a huge deal, especially if they take really good care of it, as opposed to 3 or 4 moves out a month in the short-term space. So you're able to basically cash flow very similar to a short-term rental. And I think the average occupancy for midterm rentals is 85%. Short-term rentals is like 56%. So your occupancy is higher, not quite like long-term, but the cash flow is way more.
Okay. And do you advertise these units as midterm rentals, or how exactly do you position that on the market? Because let's say you have this unit that is for rent. Someone comes to you and says, "Hey, Sam, I plan on being here for 2 years, or I'm definitely going to be here for at least a year. I'd really like to rent this place for, minimal 12 months." How do you approach that?
Yeah, so we put them in different funnels. So like if we're doing a property that we're going to lend out on a long-term basis, we're going to not furnish it and we're going to list it, on Zillow and MLS and places like that where people search for like a long-term rental that they're going to live in for 12 to 24 months. But if we're going to turn this into a short-term rental, we'd make it a little bit nicer. We furnish it. And then basically you can go to Airbnb and places like that and just say your minimum's 30 days, or you can go to Furnish Finder, which is a huge, it's like the hub. It's like Zillow, MLS, everything combined in one. It's called Furnish Finder. And that is where everybody goes in the midterm rental space. That's where all the agencies for nurses are. That's where everybody goes to find these midterm type spaces. And it's a site that's you can go, you can see supply and demand. I did it in St. Louis and I have a video on it to where I looked and there was like just in St. Louis in the past 30 days, there was like, I don't remember, like 15 or 16,000 people that search, not necessarily needed it right now, but that search for midterm rentals. And there was like 190 units available in St. Louis or whatever that were at that time. So obviously people could be looking to do research or looking for something they're going to book in the future, but still the numbers do not add up. And then when the numbers don't add up and I hold the supply and the demand is huge, I win. So that's where I want other people to do as well.
And that's called Furnish Finder?
Yeah, Furnished Finder, furnished with a D, Furnished Finder. So you're just finding furnished. I don't love the name. The website's kind of outdated. I'm assuming somebody like Zillow or some big person is going to come and buy it at some point as this space grows, because I do think we're at the beginning of this space. But yeah, it's a Furnished Finder. So basically it's, people, you're looking for a furnished place to live, and that's where they look.
Interesting.